What is your bullet effing dodged moment? I once took a girl online out to dinner at a nicer place in our town. She was horrible to the server and actually got us kicked out because she called the manager a cunt. After that we were walking out and she wanted me to go back to her place to watch a movie, which I refused and went home. 2 months later I was reading the paper and saw her in the police blotter for assaulting her boyfriend with a golf club. Good thing she didn't ask you to go clubbing with her then. I once went on a date with this guy who used the entire conversation to try and figure out how much I would be missed. The hairs on the back of my neck were tingling for the only time in my life as he asked me about every friend, family member, co-worker, roommate, how often I saw them, how long I would go between texting and calling. Needless to say, I suddenly had 5 overprotective older brothers who were pies and cops. Not me, but I had a hand in it. Knew this guy in high school peripherally. He was in the cool crowd of rocker type guys, and I was a nerd. New girl arrived at our school from another town. She and I became friends, and a few months later she started dating him. At first she seemed cool and we would talk about everything. At one point, however, she starts talking about how she has been hooking up with her ex-boyfriend behind cool guy's back. Just before the end of the school year, she tells me she is pregnant and that she knows it belongs to her ex-boyfriend. She is laughing and really proud of herself because cool guy's going to do the right thing, withdraw his college application and go work at the local gas station to support her and the baby. Her ex, the father of the baby, is kind of a loser, so she thinks it's the best thing, even that she can F him while making cool guy support her. I didn't really know this guy that well, but I got his phone number from an acquaintance of mine who knew it. Cool guy knew I was friends with his girlfriend, but was still pretty surprised to hear from me. I told him all about her ploy and said, get a paternity test, it isn't yours. This guy was incredibly stoic, but after a sizable pause he just broke down crying for a few minutes, then thanked me. They broke up, and cool guy went to college and made something of his life. My ex-boyfriend told me he was sterile. I started insisting on condoms anyway, just in case. Eventually I broke up with him. He currently has 2 kids with the girl he started dating after me. That would be really awkward if he was telling the truth and those kids aren't his. When I was 7 I got lost in Spain without my family. I had been lost for about 5 hours, really late at night, and had been going down some dark alleyways and car parks. I started asking random strangers if they spoke English, but there were only middle-aged men walking around alone. One guy didn't speak English, but gave me a cuddle and took me back to his house around the corner. At this point I'm crying my eyes out and just appreciated the help and kindness. When I got to his house it turned out he had a family and the son was learning English in school. He got out his school workbook and asked me my name, then they took me to the police station. My parents picked me up about 10 minutes later as they were driving around in a police car. That man could have been anyone, and I could have been kidnapped and never seen again. Not your ordinary bullet dodge. Before my wife and I met, she had a single date with someone. The date went fine, but she found him to be overbearing. He pulled his D out for her to touch as an example, so they didn't go out again. They remained friendly until 2 weeks later, when he murdered his next date and set her on fire. He is now in prison for those who may want to know. Edit update. He shot and killed her in front of her kids, and then set her house on fire. Sorry for my partial inaccuracy. I just survived a heart attack on Thursday, so there's that. BTW, I'm 33, way too young for this chick. Edit, to all of those asking, not overweight. I don't know what the proper response there is, congrats. Good luck going forward, that's some scary chick. What do we say to the god of death? Not today. Don't know if it's a dodge a bullet moment, but it felt like I did. Afghanistan a few years ago, having a smoke late at night with our local cultural advisor, LCA, and a bullet whistled right over our heads for my very first time. I looked at our LCA and asked him what the F that was, and as he took another drag from his smoke, unfazed, he said with a thick Pashtun accent, "You effing idiot, that was a bullet. You should sit down with me before you get your head shot off by the next round." And well, what can I say, my LCA saved my life, because as soon as I did sit my ass down on the Afghanistan dirt another bullet came whistling by. Thank you Bilal. Literal bullet dodged, so yeah, I'd say that counts. Back in the day, read, dial-up internet and expensive desktops, I downloaded a malware which asked for credit card details. I was young and didn't have a card, so contemplated nicking my dad's and putting in the details. I didn't want to get into trouble. Thing was, the malware was asking for payment in rubles. At that time, I had no idea what that was. Was it a different currency, some other adult speak? So I came clean to my parents and they sorted the rest. They also deleted my LMUIA. I assume your parents created a you aren't allowed to download anything off the internet rule after that. The night of the Aurora theater shooting in Colorado, some friends and I had planned to go to the Aurora movie theater for Batman, as we are all huge Batman fans. One of my friends convinced us to go to a different theater that was closer to her, since she couldn't get a ride. Couple people we were supposed to meet up with in Aurora were in the theater, but luckily got out unharmed. Guess that's a bullet dodged. I was talking to this girl at a party, and I was really into her. I have some obscure interests, and she was the first attractive girl I'd ever met with the same interests. Well, my brother swooped in and charmed her way more than my awkward ass could hope to. I was pissed at first that he stole her, but got over it after she lied about birth control, got pregnant, and tried to convince him to marry her. The thing is, I'm a lot more go with the flow than my brother is. If I had knocked her up and she told me we needed to get married, there's a good chance I would've done it. Then I'd be stuck with a person who I've learned is an absolute shit show of crazy. So you're an uncle now? When I was about 23, I was asked on a date by a Brazilian girl who was maybe early 30s. We went on a date, but it wasn't the most interesting evening. We didn't really click, and the language barrier meant we couldn't really get past basic conversation. I was a little resistant to go on a second date and felt it was fair game to say sorry I didn't think we clicked. Next time I saw her in person though, I was berated with a bunch of insults elder. She claimed we were supposed to get married and have kids and that I was the one. Very glad I was able to back away slowly and dodge that bullet. Really crushed on this girl, she rejected me. About a year later she had a baby with a guy. Turned out she'd been poking holes in the condoms because she was obsessed with having a baby. Was traveling to somewhere on a highway behind a logging truck. When we were going uphill, the truck changed lanes and a log slipped off, bounced between the car I was in and another car, and rebounded off the highway into the nearby forest. There was no one immediately behind us. Edit, hit comment instead of edit. Screw it, my accidental edit is somewhere in the comments. That's some Final Destination shit right there. Senior in high school, and a pair of twin girls with obvious behavioral issues got pretty aggressive with me to F them both. They lived a block away, so we rode the same school bus. I was getting a weird vibe and definitely had a this is too good to be true feeling from it. Every day on the bus ride home from school they tried to convince me to come over to their place. They were super trashy white chubby girls and I just didn't know how to handle it, so I basically avoided them until I got a car and started driving home instead of using the bus. Eventually, after a month or so of stupid flirting and stalking, one of them got one of the other kids on the bus to hook up with them. He got them both pregnant, one with twins. They lied and said they were on the pill. Both of them wanted him to marry them, and it got really bitter and nasty between the two girls. Parents kicked them out, he was black and their parents weren't very happy, and then the dude had to bail on his college plans to support 3 kids, and pay 2 women for child support at 18. They all got heavy into oxy, and are in and out of jail. When I was back in high school, I was walking near the field when they were practicing their discus throw. One of the discus was wrongly thrown and was headed for my head. A friend who at that time was walking towards me saw this and yelled for me to duck. The discus went past my head and landed behind me. Then I realized that I cold died if my friend hadn't warned me. Imagine a 2 kilograms flying disc lands right on your forehead. That's it for now. Subscribe for more daily uploads. And thank you.